Hey folks, welcome to the Aston Martin DB12 Volante. Volante in Aston Martin means convertible. DB12 convertible.
For 60 years.
Yes.
Air free.
In this video, we're going to achieve two goals. One, Clapman is going to drive a DB12 for the first time and give his impressions of the car in general.
Right. You went to Monaco to drive the coupe.
Yes. Please go watch that video. We're going to try and not cross the streams too much, and that one took a lot of time to make, so please go watch it. And then also I will give you my thoughts on the transition from coupe to convertible and how that fits into the marketplace of grand touring top-down supercars. Right?
Perfect.
Right.
Wonderful.
Go.
Guys, if I don't eat for about 3-4 hours, I turn into a colossal giant a-hole. It's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for my employment. I need food around, but I like to eat a certain way. I do like to eat healthy. Lean meats, vegetables with every serving, healthy carbs. That is my goal. And it's not always easy to find, even in Los Angeles, super liberal salad town. That's why I really enjoy Factor meals. You can customize your menu as you want. You can do extra protein, you can do keto, you can do low carb, you can do vegetarian if you want to, or even pescatarian. You can make whatever menu selections you want. They deliver them each week. They are fresh, never frozen, microwave them for 2 minutes, and then boom, I have healthy food at work. I can have healthy food at home. I don't have to go out and spend extra money or eat unhealthy things. And they have a bunch of extra things. They have desserts, they have snacks, they have wellness shots. They have those egg discs you get at coffee shops, but now I don't have to talk to strangers. I can just make them at home. Head over to factor75.com or click the link below and use code TST50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next box. That's code TST50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. Now, I'm going to eat lunch so I don't turn into Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, chicken breast and red sauce.
That's pretty much half of my bloodstream.
Oh, yes.
671 horsepower?
Yes.
And that was a weird warning.
And no, that's not a weird warning. We'll get back to what that was.
Yeah.
I will just go into the menus for a moment. Go on.
Okay, 671 horsepower from the 4-liter twin-turbo V8. Bigger, stronger, faster than the one that was in the DB11, as you've surely said before. Bigger turbos, bigger intercoolers, all of that stuff. ZF 8-speed automatic. I'm so impressed with this transmission already. I just took this for a drive to do some mounted shots. And the programming in automatic mode, coming into corners, the way it downshifts as I was braking, was so intuitive, except the next time I did a drive for mounts, it had turned itself off. And I was still in individual mode, and I was still in D, so it was weird how it did that.
Lane departures. We'll come back.
Ooh.
We'll come back to those beeps.
But if there's one thing I have always loved, it is a big GT car, especially from Aston Martin. The last one I drove was the DB11 that we filmed for Drive. Do you
that was
remember
a
that?
long time ago.
Long time ago. That was their dark days of suspension design, we'll say. It had a lot of weird wobbles in high-speed corners. I know they fixed it in the DB11, but this has none of those issues that I've found.
This car,
Jeez, it's fast.
The coupe particularly, is very sharp. It's very fast. It's tight, and it's very natural feeling the way it drives.
Yes.
It does not use rear steer compared to a lot of the other grand touring cars like the Ferrari 812, the Bentley GT, the Mercedes SL, some variants of the 911, all using rear steer now, but not the DB12.
I have to say that when I took it for a drive, I was like rereading the press release in my head because it turns in so quickly.
Yeah.
I thought, does it have rear steer? Because
No.
it feels like the front reacts that fast, but you have none of the weird discussion in the back like the SL had. That was mismatched to the steering wheel, and this doesn't have that problem because there's no rear steer. But the turning radius is still pretty good.
Yeah, and they've got this new steering column design that they're very proud of.
Yes.
It's all over the press release. I forget what they call it, and it doesn't even matter. But they're all about their steering column.
Non-isolated? Is that it?
It's either isolated or non-isolated.
Non-isolated.
Whatever it is, the point is, it gives you a very... Shut up! It gives you very direct steering feel.
The steering feel is pretty good. I think the wheel's a little bit thick, but I like the speed of the steering ratio. And they've added some like buttressing and front subframe connectors, and there's a new engine cross brace, so it's all a little bit stiffer than the old DB11 Volante. The spec we couldn't find, and we asked them when we picked the car up, and we'll put the answer in the lower third if they give it to us, is how much stiffer is this car in relation to the coupe, if any, right? That was the number we couldn't determine from the press release.
They would only tell us the comparison to the old DB11 Volante and not to the current DB12 coupe.
Mm-hmm.
They also wouldn't tell us the exact curb weight, but they did say that the Volante, the top-down version, is 220 pounds heavier than the coupe. So that's your weight penalty for the top mechanism and for the additional chassis bracing. Now we're going to go on this very, very tight and technical road to accentuate the chassis control.
Which I have to say,
whatever's going on here.
for the size of this car, it does that thing where it shrinks a little bit. I mean, it's a big car, it looks big, it is big, but with the steering speed and the way the nose just turns in for you, it doesn't feel gigantic. We've driven other cars on this road that felt less suited for it. Man, I mean, we might turn around and give you some more open road stuff.
Yeah, well, I also drove this car in France, which was narrow
That's
roads
true.
also, and I was impressed.
It sounds the business.
Yeah,
sounds good.
The torque curve, you know, that 671 horsepower is a good number, but the other good number is 590 torque from 2,500 to 4,500. So it's got a great punch.
Yeah, full torque, pretty flat, but you still feel the power arrive. You know, it's not like the old BMW turbos where the power hit at 2,000 and then it was boring from there on out. This you get a good surge through the whole rev range. I can't believe this doesn't have rear steer. I'm really shocked. This thing is so big.
You know, when the manufacturer decides to not use it, I always end up agreeing with them.
Yes.
The 911 ST and this, and they go, we tried it and we didn't like it. It didn't feel natural. We left it out. I tend to go, you know what, that was the right call.
Because if you're not going to do it right, don't do it.
Yeah. Zack, likey?
In the 12 minutes I've driven it, this is what I want
Yeah.
from an Aston Martin convertible GT car. Absolutely.
Okay.
It doesn't feel loose and weird. I thought it would feel less comfortable, even on this road, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
And the power is ridiculous. It's so fast.
So I went to Monaco to drive the DB12 Coupe. So this is old hat to me. I've got my individual mode set, which as usual has the powertrain in Sport Plus and the shocks in Comfort, which they call GT mode. Stop beeping at me. And I would like to take just a second to explain what that is. There are, of course, a couple of problems. For one, the rear seat and the trunk are both really small for a car you'd want to take on a road trip. For two, these vents and the trim around them is made of cheap-feeling plastic. In a Bentley, that would be metal. And for three, perhaps the biggest one, is that every time you turn on a DB12, lane departure warning is activated. And unlike start-stop, where there's a quick hard button to disable it, you have to go deep into a menu to turn it off every single time you start the car. Now, in fairness, That is a new law in the UK requiring that. But it's entirely Aston Martin's choice to equip the US spec cars with that same feature. That, for me, is an out. Now, those hiccups aside, they have done well with this. Okay, the convertible top mechanism, 8 layers, very insulated, very quiet. When it's up, you could drive it as a coupe, you could drive it in the winter, and it would be very nice. Also, they're very proud of the folding top mechanism that gives you a lower rear deck and a better body line.
It really does.
Than other cars. In the press release, they really take a couple of aggressive swipes at the Ferrari Portofino and the Bentley GT, as well as the Mercedes SL for their big bustles.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially the Portofino from the profile, and they've shrunk it since the California days,
right.
But it's still quite a bit taller than your shoulder line, I'd say. And this really falls away. The back of this, I think, is much better looking than the Vantage.
Oh,
it's
yes.
really, really, like, subtle and elegant.
We pulled up next to a Vantage on the way up here this morning. Did you see that?
Yep.
And boy, did I feel superior. I felt like the man.
Well, you should for the price, which we'll talk about at the end.
Michelin Pilot Sport S5 tires for the first time on a series production car, and I like them. We've been going through that water you've been seeing. Very confident.
The suspension on this is double wishbones, which
Yeah.
is, of course, the magic term that we love to hear. And it just helps keep the tire on the ground. It helps keep it flat over bumps and stuff. And I think it's working really, really well.
I love the turn in, even though I've got the steering set to GT, not Sport Plus. Love it. Responsiveness of the paddle shifters is great. And I have to say, with the top down, the chassis rigidity feels substantially better than the Bentley GTC. There's a really big difference with the soft and hard top Bentleys. The hard ones, the hard top coupes, are like tanks. They're just, ceramic brakes.
Good ceramic brakes, smaller than the ones on the GT Speed.
Yeah.
These brakes are bigger than what you get on a GT2 RS by 10 mils.
They're smaller than the GT Speed, but the car's 1,000 pounds lighter, so it's probably fine.
Yeah.
But what I noticed when I drove the Bentley GT convertible, even for $350,000, you could feel a little jiggle on the bumpy roads, whereas the coupe is so tight and solid.
Really good, yeah.
The difference between coupe and convertible is a little less. It's not perfect. There's a little bit of that jiggle, but it's better than the Bentley. Well, after the rains, these roads are messy.
Yeah. But the tires are very good.
Woo! That was very high speed wheel spin.
That was a rolling burnout through a puddle.
This thing has so much power.
So much.
And I'm not sure if, I said this to you earlier, I'm not sure if the speedometer is optimistic or not, but if it isn't, holy hell is this mask speed.
We'll verify it with GPS later. Good Lord.
This is a really fast car.
But I think the numbers make sense because the numbers make sense. We have the power we have is 4,200 pounds. So we have CT5V Blackwing horsepower, and this car is slightly lighter. What does the Blackwing weigh?
More than 4,200 pounds. Like if we go into Sport Plus, I don't know why that needs to have a German accent. We're in a British car.
Well, the engine.
Sport Plus,
engineered.
automatic, and we'll launch. Race start. Burnout. Burnout. Yeah. I mean, this is a 200 plus mile an hour car.
Oh, definitely. 202 top speed. It will get very close to that very easily, I think.
We've caught a garbage
And
truck.
once again, the good brakes.
Caught a garbage truck. Well,
Should we use this time to discuss the interior?
Yeah.
We can slow down.
We'll hold. Yeah,
The
okay.
T.
We'll go back to GT mode.
I'm gonna turn my seat heater off. This new interior is so much better than the old one. I know you covered that in the coupe, but I haven't sat in it yet. And I remember editing your video and just seeing it, and I went, thank God, because I love the exterior of these cars so much, but the interior was such a shortcoming.
Yeah, the leathers, the woods. I mean, the integration of the screen is actually good. The screen's pretty fast.
Yep. These roller knobs are metal, and they work really well, and they feel nice to operate.
Yeah, there's buttons for the important stuff.
Yep.
Hard buttons for the climate control, roller knob for temp and volume and fan, buttons for the specific drive modes, buttons for the convertible top.
What, is that lane keep assist off?
That is lane keep assist, but not lane departure warning.
Oh,
so there is a button for the lane keep assist. The lane departure warning is the chime.
Right.
Different thing. So there's that.
I will say the screen for the gauges, I do miss the analog gauges, but the screen is clear, and at least it has a nice, it's way higher def than the one in the Vantage, the old Vantage.
Yeah.
And the multicolors help it look more expensive, because the Vantage ones, the last gen Vantage, looked so cheap.
Yeah. I really miss Aston Martin gauges. I mean, nobody made a gauge cluster like Aston Martin, and it just bums me out that they bailed on it. I know why they did, but it bums me out nonetheless. And the rest of the interior is very, very luxurious and nearly endlessly customizable. These wood veneers are great. You can get carbon, you can get all metal, you can get all kinds of stuff. There's all sorts of special specifications in paint and this and that. So you can really make one of these your own. But yeah, looking at a screen where once a jewelry-like, watch-like gauge cluster used to be is kind of sad.
It is. It's kind of.
Let's go. Wow. Sounds good. Goes good.
It sounds really good.
So, in the scheme of top-down GT cars, right?
Yeah.
You've got the Bentley, you've got the Mercedes SL, variations of Porsche 911.
Ferrari Portofino.
Ferrari Portofino.
A12 is twice the price, so.
Right. So, I think this is probably the prettiest of all of them.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the most traditional, smooth long hood GT thing. Yeah.
I'd rather have one than a Portofino.
I would too, based on just the seats.
I'd rather have a Bentley GT Speed or S coupe than the coupe version of this, but I'd rather have the convertible version of this than the convertible version of the Bentley.
I haven't driven the convertible version of the Bentley, but I like the styling of this more than the Bentley cars, and I think this doesn't have any handling shortcomings, which really impresses me.
I have no interest in the SL because I think it drives weird.
It drove so weird.
And it looks weird.
And the interior with the screen and everything was not good.
Not
and it
great.
felt so much more cramped. Do you remember how with the tablet here, it felt like there was a wall, almost like the C8 Corvette.
And you've got 911s, right? We love 911s, but
they do not have the curb appeal.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't. And they're really expensive to get a great one. You could spend almost as much as this.
And it's too easy for someone to say, which one is this?
Yeah.
Because it could be the T or the Turbo S.
Yeah.
And they're similar.
Objectively great cars, but
Yes,
you don't really make a statement with one
Right.
the way you do with this. So as far as top-down GT cars go, I think this is leading the pack.
I've only driven this and the Portofino, but I would choose this over the Portofino.
We haven't driven Roma Spider yet.
Oh,
which is
true.
a two-seater, not a four-seater. But that one may take the crown back. Ferrari, get at me, because I want to drive Roma Spider. But I think they've done a fantastic job with this car.
Yeah.
I think overall, it's such a nice place to be. It's 98% what I want from an Aston Martin convertible. It's beautiful, it's fast, it's fun to drive, it's responsive.
And when you get off the highway, it doesn't feel like a second-class citizen in the turns where the old ones you used to feel like you'd be lagging behind the Ferraris you were with, or
Yeah.
if you were following any like real sports car, and this doesn't feel like that.
No, this thing goes. It goes, stops, and turns like a $300,000 car should.
Yeah.
And I respect it. I absolutely respect it. So thank you to Aston for letting us have a go, even though it's just for the morning, but still. Seat
morning.
time is good time. And thanks to you guys for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you later. Bye.
And remember, always fight your tickets on the Off the Record app available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.